Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Retro Roster on the Jazz Show on Twitch, or watching later on YouTube, or listening on podcast, or pretty much permeating every part of the world, one day at a time.
Yeah.
My name is Jez. I'm joined, as
Slowly
always,
taking over.
slightly taking over, very slowly and very unsystematically, but taking over.
Yes.
I'm Jez. Confusingly, because on the screen I'm looking at, you're above me, but actually on the stream you're below me. So down there is my co-host Dan. Welcome. How you doing?
I'm alright. How are you?
I'm good. We've got a couple of viewers in already. Off the top rope, frog splash. Not today. It's 1987, and there are no frog splashes in 1987. Wait a minute. This isn't the main roster. What's happening here? Where am I? Yes, just to confuse you, George, this is the retro roster, where we look back at a classic, a retro, as the title suggests, event from wrestling history. And today we are discussing WrestleMania III from, as I said,
a popular one.
1987. It is a popular one. It's one that's talked about a lot in terms of like nostalgia and people going back to the 80s, and even when people are talking about things from the 90s, everybody mentions WrestleMania 3. Obviously the main event is Hogan and Andre, and people talk a lot about that. It's got the Steamboat and Savage match, the Intercontinental title match, and people talk a lot about that. So I had never actually watched the whole event before today.
Neither have I.
Never had cause to. I meant to watch it earlier in the year when, right at the beginning of lockdown, as part of WWE Backstage watching stuff, because they couldn't do their show properly anymore. They broadcast WrestleMania 3 on Fox Sports, and I was like, oh, well, maybe I'll watch it and then watch their after discussion and see what they thought of it. But I never did, so we'll do it instead. We're still going. They're cancelled. It, clearly means we're the better show anyway, so why not?
Well, yeah.
Well, duh. So with that in mind, having blown plenty of smoke up our own asses already, shall we get started?
Dive in. Dive in. So, the most 80s opening music and graphics kick us off as Vince McMahon stands in the middle of a ring to welcome us to the Pontiac Silverdome and to WrestleMania III. Then introduces Aretha Franklin to sing America the Beautiful. We're introduced to our commentary team, Gorilla Monsoon and Jesse the Body Ventura.
I've heard a lot about this pairing on commentary as well, and I don't think I have watched an entire event that they have commentated together. They're quite iconic as a pairing. It wasn't really until JR and the King came along and paired up that we had anything like them, really.
Yeah.
And Jesse the Body Ventura was a fair bit of fun in this event, like playing that heel color commentator, excusing all the heel's actions. The moment a babyface dared to step slightly out of line, he was all over them. He really did that well. And then Jerry the King Lawler took over from him in that sense. So it was good to see this team together. Gorilla Monsoon was a heel for a large majority of his time in wrestling. So every now and again when Jesse the Body Ventura would say, and you'd never do that, obviously, would you, Gorilla? Like, no, you wouldn't catch me doing anything like that. When it was totally in his wheelhouse for the majority of his career to be doing that. So
that was his thing.
So that was quite enjoyable for me. What did you think of the music and the opening and just how this started?
Oh, as I said, it was very 80s-esque, wasn't it? Which, it was the 80s.
It was definitely a product of its
really,
time. Yeah.
So, I think looking at it, thinking that it was in the 80s, that was the thing back then. If you're trying to compare it to nowadays, it was pretty awful.
Yeah,
but...
I mean, I did have a bit of an out loud laugh when the kind of the M bit flew in. It was like whoosh, boing, pling, and it was just like, oh my god, this is 1987, like in a nutshell. And then the music was just this plinky plonky synth kind of like Baywatch rip-off type music, and I'm like, oh my god, like,
oh god,
the 80s were a thing.
The 80s happened.
The 80s did happen, yeah. And just about, I'm older than this event, but only barely. Only very barely.
Make yourself sound older.
I am old, yeah. There's no need to hide it. Like, I am. It's just a fact. I am old, so there's no point in trying to hide it.
1994, right here.
Yeah. There are many, many things I like that are definitely older than you, so. Vince McMahon did his traditional welcome to WrestleMania. And in this one, don't know what made this one different from the other times that he's done it. He mentioned that in particular, this is the time when he felt like his late father's presence as he was doing it. He hadn't long died when WrestleMania 3 happened. It had been about 3 years, I think. I think he died either just before or just after the first WrestleMania. But that introduction is notable for Vince feeling the presence of his father, apparently, which is why when they do the video promos of WrestleMania Through the Ages, that's the one that they trot out every single time in the Pontiac Silverdome, which we'll discuss a bit more later on in the show.
Yes. Shall
we crack into the opening contest?
Yes, let's.
Okay. Okay. In the opening contest, the Can-Am Connection, which was the team of Rick Martel and Tom Zank, took on Bob Orton Jr. and the Magnificent Morocco, accompanied by Mr. Fuji. This match ended when Martel gave Morocco a high crossbody, with Zank on his hands and knees giving Morocco what Gorilla Monsoon described as a little schoolboy from behind, allowing Martel to get the win for his team.
Yes.
Initial thoughts on this match?
Shall
I say it?
Slightly. Yeah, go on.
It was dull as dishwater.
Yeah, there is that.
I
was trying to think of an analogy to say, and you just summed it up.
Yeah, it didn't really have a whole lot going for it. This Can-Am Connection, who have we got here? Corley Marker, thank you for the host. This Can-Am Connection team did look like it had a lot of potential. It looked like they could have been a good tag team. And so I was like, I've never heard of this. I've heard of Rick Martel, Rick the Model Martel, as he went on to become, but I've never heard of this Tom Zank character. Let's look him up. And this was supposed to be a big tag team. They were about to push them to the limits when Tom Zank left the WWF shortly after WrestleMania 3 because of a pay dispute.
Oh.
I wonder how hard that guy's kicking himself now.
Yeah.
Because, I mean...
he must be really kicking himself.
Wrestling was already big then, but arguably it got even bigger. Well, not even arguably. The Attitude Era blew it up to another level. So the fact that he could have had a nice cushy career in WWE, even if he'd have stayed in a tag team that whole time, it would have been nice and cushy for him. But no, he decided, nope, I'd like a bit more money, and went into obscurity instead.
Yes. Exactly like that.
That's the type of thing that haunts you, I think.
He lies awake at night.
Yeah, damn it. If only I hadn't left after WrestleMania 3 all those years ago. Like, more than 30 years. Oh, my God, it's 33 years ago.
Jeez.
It's a long time. Also, the thing that struck me that had nothing to do with the match was no entrance music.
Yes.
It was like, let's go to the ring, and these guys are already here.
Yeah. But it was kind of a theme throughout the night, wasn't it? It was the odd entrance music, wrestlers, but then most of them just came to the ring.
Yeah.
And that weird buggy thing.
On the forklift with a ring on it type thing.
Yes.
Yeah. So, yeah. This match came and went. It was definitely a match that happened.
Yep.
And there's not a whole lot more to say about it. Hello, Calling Mark 78. Dan, say hello to Calling Mark 78.
I call him Mark 78.
And let's crack into the second match with the hope, the dream that it might be better.
So the next match was the Battle of the Full Nelson, with Billy Jack Haynes taking on Hercules. Match ended with when Haynes locked Hercules in the Full Nelson outside the ring, and both were counted out. After the match, Henan assaulted Haynes by kneeing him in the back after Haynes had applied the Full Nelson to Hercules outside the ring. Haynes then chased Henan into the ring, where Hercules then blindsided Haynes with his chain, hitting him a number of times with it before locking a bloodied Haynes into his own Full Nelson. That's a lot of words beginning with H.
Yeah, it is a bit. Henan, Hercules, Haynes, heinous actions, hitting in the head. Any more?
As your father.
Yeah. Slightly better than the opening match, he says tentatively.
Only by, that much.
Yeah, it wasn't a barn burner, and how do I put this? It kind of set the precedent for the entire show, in that most of the endings of the matches, not to get too ahead of ourselves, were either cost the match by the heel manager, or it was a roll up, or some other kind of quick, inconclusive finish. And using the chain over and over again, while that added a level of entertainment to the match, it didn't really do much for the battle of the Full Nelson, or the Full Nelson Challenge, or whatever they were billing this match as. You'd think they'd have focused a bit more on what they were trying to get out of this match, which was one guy can do a Full Nelson really well, the other guy is a heel and thinks he can do the Full Nelson really well, but can't really.
Yeah.
And so use the chain, I guess, but I don't know. It was cartoony. I wasn't all about it. The interview before, where Hercules was channeling that he was actually Hercules from Greek myth, I'm like, oh god.
Yeah.
Oh god, why did anybody buy this? So yeah, not a big fan of the Hercules character. He hung around for quite some time, went on to have quite the long career. I'd never heard of Billy Jack Haynes before. I did like Bobby Heenan trying to hammer home that he was Billy Jerk Haynes, and Mean Gene was having none of that. That was fun. And the ring cut, carrying people to the ring. Yeah, that's about all I had to say about that one, really.
Yeah. Same here.
Not off to the greatest of starts on this pay-per-view, are we?
No, it's not really, is it?
No. Corner Mark 78 asked, did you see the Chiefs game last night? I did see the Chiefs game on the weekend, but that is for another podcast. Tune in on Sunday night for 2-minute warning, previewing Championship weekend in the NFL. This is a wrestling podcast.
That one.
Yeah. This is a wrestling podcast. The Chiefs are for the American football podcast, or for you Americans, football. Onwards with WrestleMania 3.
Yes.
And next was a mixed tag team match between King Kong Bundy and his professional wrestling team of Lord Littlebrook and Little Tokyo, taking on Hillbilly Jim and his own team. Wait for it.
God.
The Haiti Kid and Little Beaver. Now there were some rules to this, Dan. Let it not be said that this was a lawless Wild West type situation. The rules were, and I had to change the phrasing of this because as I took it from another website, it was using a derogatory term, which I had to edit. The rules were that only little people could fight against the little people, and that neither Bundy nor Hillbilly were allowed to attack the little people, though at one point Bundy tagged in and Little Beaver refused to tag out immediately, even hitting the 458-pound walking conundrum with a dropkick to no effect. Yeah, really? Before bailing with a tag to Hillbilly Jim. King Kong Bundy's team was disqualified when Bundy attacked Little Beaver because Bundy was not supposed to be in the ring with the little people.
God.
After Beaver had attacked, and that's in quotes, direct from source, had attacked Bundy on occasion during the match. He finally got caught and Bundy attacked Little Beaver, hitting him with a body slam before dropping an elbow across his chest. Little Beaver, yeah.
Little Beaver.
Future Wolfington has just put in the chat. Little Beaver. Full stop.
Yeah.
Did you miss
God.
Lord Littlebrook, who was the English little person, you understand? And Little Tokyo. Do you want to guess where Little Tokyo was from?
Russia?
Yes, that's right. Yes, good guess.
Yeah.
And then the Haiti Kid. I think there might be a little bit of I haven't done the due diligence and looked up the Haiti Kid, but I would put money, sight unseen, on the Haiti Kid not being from Haiti and actually just being black, and this being massively racist. I'm just gonna throw that out there. And yeah, Little Beaver. Where's Little Beaver from? I hear you ask. Yeah, I'll let you put the clues together on that one. And then you have the okay, I stand corrected. Future Wolfington looked it up. Haiti Kid is indeed Haitian. There you go. Right, that's fine. Then all good with the little people wrestling. I had to edit this obviously because they weren't calling them little people during the event. They were calling them midgets, which I don't even think was okay at the time, let alone now in the cold hard light of 2021. Are we still allowed to call people hillbillies? Is that even allowed now?
I don't think you're allowed to call anyone anything.
Like, none of this is okay, really. King Kong Bundy.
Oh, God.
So the guy's like a monkey. Is that That's what we're saying. He's like King Kong, a giant monkey. Okay, right, fine. Hillbilly is 100% okay here in the States. Okay, cool. I don't believe you, but cool. Wait, midgets isn't okay?
I
No,
don't believe you.
no, midgets isn't okay. Yeah, they, like many terms, they go back and forth about what that community prefers to be called. But I'm pretty sure midgets was vetoed a long time ago. Again, I might be wrong. I'm not an authority on it, but I personally don't feel comfortable calling them midgets. That doesn't sit well with me, so I'm not going to do that.
What do you prefer to call them?
People it would be my preference, but apparently we need to demarcate them from other people in some way. So I went with little people as the best I could come up with, which
I think that's the most diplomatic.
Yeah, I'm still not fully comfortable with it, if I'm completely honest. But if I'd have just said Lord Littlebrook, Little Tokyo, Haiti Kid, and Little Beaver, there would have been no indication that they were of a reduced height in comparison to the other gentlemen. A smaller stature, yes. So now that we've got the description out of the way, this match was utter nonsense.
Yes, it was. I was watching this behind my hands, basically.
Behind your hands, yeah. Little people person is the most acceptable term. That's what I figured.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not the most diplomatic of people, as you well know, Dan. As I said to you in our pre-conversation, I'm diplomatic like a brick through a window, but I didn't like any of this. This just seemed like exploitation in the highest level. There was no aspect in which I was being asked as an audience to laugh with them. I was being asked to laugh at them, and I don't like that.
Yeah.
This would be a pre-show match. This wouldn't happen now. I mean,
it wouldn't just happen in general.
No, or if it did happen, it would be no. These are just wrestlers, and they're having a match. It wouldn't be like referred to as an attraction because they're way shorter.
Actually, saying that, do you remember?
I know what you're going to say.
Hornswoggle.
Yeah, and Del
Castle 3MB. And they didn't have a TLC match. They had a WLC match.
Yeah. But even then, El Torito was a better wrestler than any of the other people in the ring at the time. So, Tamsanaki, hello, good afternoon. Hope you're doing well. We are muddling through somehow the appropriateness of, or the inappropriateness of midget wrestling, and how I cringe at the whole thing, and that I'm not okay with it. The only notable thing from this match for me is that Hillbilly Jim was the first wrestler on the show to have entrance music.
Yeah.
And
it was your stereotypical hillbilly music.
It was. Ding diddling diddling ding 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 diddling diddling ding 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 diddling diddling ding ding ding. Yeah. And now, please, let's leave this nonsense in the dust and get on to the next match.
Let's go on. So, the loser must bow match between the Junkyard Dog and Harley Race with Bobby Heenan and the Queen of Wrestling, the Fabulous Moolah, followed. Junkyard Dog came out to the ring to a big ovation in the Silverdome. During the match, the two battled back and forth, with Race even trying unsuccessfully to give the prone dog a falling headbutt, which naturally failed. Following this, Race recovered enough to give the Junkyard Dog a belly-to-belly suplex when he was distracted by Bobby Heenan to get the win. Due to the pre-match stipulation, JYD did a little bow and then hit Race from the ring. Yeah, hit Race from the blind side with a steel chair to a rousing ovation from the crowd. After attacking Race, Junkyard Dog took the King's royal robe and left the ring with it in hand to a standing ovation. It was definitely better than the last match.
Oh, it was definitely better than the last match. It was better than all three of the opening matches combined.
Yes.
Like, I had problems with it.
Yep.
But those are mainly the problems that come from having guys the caliber of the Junkyard Dog, problematic name, and Harley Race, who are, phenomenal entertainers, wrestlers, all round, good on the mic, good in the ring, doing this kind of nonsense. Wolfie, thank you for the host. Woo! Voice broke then. That would have been a woo otherwise. But this was a natural byproduct of the King of the Ring tournament. Or him being King Harley Race. I don't even know if it was a King of the Ring tournament. It must have been, maybe. I don't know. No idea. But he was the king. And that seems to be the way that we create kings in wrestling, is by having a King of the Ring tournament. So I liked that the crown was going to be defended. I kind of didn't like, from a babyface point of view, that the Junkyard Dog kind of wimped out of the bow.
Yeah, he did a bit. He kind of did a curtsy, though, didn't he?
He kind of just went, like...
Yeah, he was kind of like a half-hearted...
Yeah. He looked like he was just getting ready to spit something on the ground. That's about what it looked like. It was like, there you go. So, as a baby,
she did that to our queen. She would chop your head off.
She would, and then, like, apologetically sew it back on because she doesn't want to lose any subject that believes in the monarchy, because there aren't that many left. But in terms, he's a baby face. He lost, all right, albeit by dodgy circumstances. But what were you expecting from heel Harley Race and Bobby Heenan?
Yeah.
So he really needed to do that bow properly for honour's sake, in my book. But it was all a bit rushed, as many of these opening matches were, because there were just so goddamn many matches on this card.
There was lots. When I was watching it, I was like, okay, next must be Hogan versus Andre. Nope. Okay, next must be Hogan versus Andre. Nope. For God's sake.
Yeah. And welcome, Ian Little Cute Girl, who immediately said, "Ooh, sugar." So I guess that means that she forgot to rewatch this and take her own trip down memory lane, being that she was the most vocal advocate of this event during voting.
He was the one that fixed the voting that it would win it.
Pretty much, yeah. So I hope your memory's good and that you mostly remember it, having...
blaming you.
Subjecting us to many of these matches, including Little People and more to come. So, the next match was the Dream Team of Brutus Beefcake and Greg the Hammer Valentine against the fabulous Rougeau brothers, Jacques and Raymond. Ray Rougeau started off the match by locking up with Beefcake. The two men later tagged out, and Valentine brawled with Jacques Rougeau as Bravo looked on from the outside of the ring. Raymond performed a sleeper hold on Valentine and was followed by Beefcake jumping off the ropes, accidentally hitting the hammer with a double axe handle. The Rougeau brothers gave Valentine a double team move, but the referee was arguing with Beefcake. The match ended when Dino Bravo jumped off the top rope and hit Raymond while he was pinning Valentine, then rolling Valentine on top of him for the win. There's a lot of love in the chat right now for the name Brutus Beefcake.
Brutus Beefcake.
And let me just say off the bat, no, you are wrong.
I'd agree with that.
I think we discussed this on a retro roster previously, possibly the journey through history that we did.
Yeah,
because
we
have had a beefcake match before in which I said I just don't understand the love that this guy got and the gimmick, especially when he became Brutus the Barber Beefcake.
The Barber.
I'm like, I don't understand the appeal, but people really, he was like the top babyface after Hogan for a while. I don't understand. So there's that. Greg the Hammer Valentine probably deserved better than this. The Rougeau brothers should have just been in normal tag team matches instead of against two singles wrestlers who'd been shoved into a tag team. Apparently, I need a slice of Brutus Beefcake. I don't even know what that means, really. And I'm going to say it, this was another match that happened.
Yeah, seems to be a theme.
What are we now? Is this match 4? Is this match 4? 1, 2, 3, 4? Yeah. Yeah.
It's only match 4.
Yeah. I'm not feeling it so far.
I'm not either.
Is what I'm saying.
Not at all. No.
Let's move on. Yeah. Next match. Match 5.
Let's move on.
The gold's in match 5. Disbelief.
Footage of an interview with Roddy Piper was aired as Piper made his way to the ring to face adorable Adrian Adonis, who was accompanied by the Mouth of the South, Jimmy Hart, in Piper's retirement match. Piper and Adonis began the match by attacking each other with Piper's belt. Adonis put a sleeper hold on Piper in the middle of the ring and released the hold prior to Piper's arm going down for a third time, thinking that he won the match. And Jimmy Hart got in the ring to celebrate with Adonis. Brutus Beefcake came to the ring to help Piper recover. Piper attacked Adonis and performed a sleeper hold of his own. Piper got the victory, and after the match was over, Brutus got in the ring and cut Adrian Adonis' hair as Piper held Jimmy Hart down. After being woken by Beefcake and seeing himself in the mirror he had brought to the ring that Piper was holding, Adonis hit the mirror and chased Piper around the ring before leaving the ring in embarrassment, with Hart using his jacket to cover Adonis' head.
Is that your professional estimation of this match?
Yes.
This was the first match that I kind of thought, okay, you know, at least there's something on this show that is going to be somewhat entertaining. And that was all Roddy Piper. Let me get that straight. This adorable Adrian Adonis character was anything but adorable or an Adonis. I loved it. Yeah, of course you did. Look here, girl. Did you rewatch this? You know, this month in 2021. Did you go back and watch this, or are you just remembering from back in the day? I've got to know. I've got to know that. So obviously, Roddy Piper is fantastic. Wolfie said he's my favourite. He is good. I never liked the fact that he hailed from Scotland. He'd never even been to Scotland. His granddad was Scottish. His dad wasn't even Scottish. He's Canadian, just like he was. So, never liked the fact that he was a pretend Scottish person, because he had so much charisma and character without having to wear a kilt and pretend to be Scottish. It just wasn't necessary to his success, really. This was Roddy Piper's retirement match.
Yeah.
he retired to pursue a full-time acting career, which obviously didn't really go anywhere because he was back 2 years later for WrestleMania 5. Funny that. Scotland by way of Saskatoon. Yeah. It's not even Nova Scotia. It's not even New Scotland. It was Saskatoon. Anyway. So I enjoyed Roddy Piper in this match. I didn't enjoy much else, but Piper in it made it redeemable. That's what I think of that. Did you have any other thoughts of it?
Not really.
No, it's going very well so far.
Going great.
I did rewatch, says Little Cute Girl, and now it stinks, but I loved it back then. Okay. And we'll get... That's a very interesting statement, because we'll get into that at the end as we, rate this event. I do think there are two different kind of viewings of this that you have to do.
Yes.
So we'll get into that a bit later. But up next was what should have been a redeeming thing, but ended up not being. Up next was a 6-man tag team match featuring former referee Danny Davis in his debut as a wrestler, and the WWF Tag Team Champions, the Hart Foundation, Bret Hart and Jim the Anvil Neidhart, who took on the British Bulldogs, Dynamite Kid and Davey Boy Smith, and Tito Santana. As a referee, Davis's bias towards heel wrestlers had led to the Bulldogs losing the tag team titles to the Harts, and also to Santana losing the Intercontinental Championship to Macho Man Randy Savage. The Bulldogs had many near falls, but Neidhart broke up most of them. All 3 members of the Bulldog-Santana team had gotten a measure of revenge on Davis. All 6 wrestlers ended up brawling in the ring. Danny Davis recovered and hit Davey Boy Smith with Jimmy Hart's megaphone and pinned him for the win. How many heel teams or heel individuals are going to win on this, biggest show of the year, in which it's supposed to be the end of the year and the good guys are supposed to do the prevailing bit so that we can move on?
I don't know.
Why is Danny Davis beating frickin' the British Bulldog? Who booked that?
I don't know.
What nonsense is that? Who booked this show?
I don't know.
I like this isn't like an opening contest on a pay-per-view nowadays. A good tag team against another good tag team with somebody random with them who isn't really a wrestler, and then someone else on the other side, be they a wrestler or not. In this case, they very much were. Tito Santana's good. But Danny Davis was the focus of this match, and that took so much away from the talent that was in it. At WrestleMania, just give me the Bulldogs and the Hearts without all of the fluff. Just give me those guys. Save this for Saturday night's main event or whatever random show you want to do in the middle of nowhere that isn't WrestleMania. Don't put this on your big show with 90,000+ people in there watching this and millions watching around the world on pay-per-view. It's nonsense. What are you doing?
Yep.
But it was good to see Dynamite Kid and Davey Boy and the Hearts, so it wasn't all bad. It was just some bad, I guess.
Just that bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any further thoughts?
No, that I'm dying a little bit.
I'm aware that I'm dominating a lot of this conversation, but I do get the impression that you're just kind of what's the word? Exasperated by everything that's happening on this show so far.
And it's such the way is that you're basically summing it up in like 3 words, and that's it.
This wasn't good. Next.
Yeah, end up. Shall we move on?
Yeah, next.
The Natural, Butch Reeves making his pay-per-view debut against Coco Beware was the following match. Reed won the match with a roll-up and a handful of ties after a high crossbody from Coco. After the contest, Reed's manager Slick got in the ring and attacked Coco Beware with his cane, but Tito Santana quickly rushed to the ring and stopped Slick and ripped some of his clothes off. Slick retreated as Reed got back in the ring, only for Reed to get a double dropkick from Coco and Santana.
This wasn't too bad.
It's alright.
Like, I feel like this might have been a turning point in which we started to get to some actual wrestling.
Yeah, sort of.
Yeah, the end of the match was nonsense. And the attacking the manager and ripping his clothes off was nonsense. But for a large portion of the match, when it was just Coco Beware and Butch Reed fighting, I was okay with it. Bleh. You know,
liked the parrot.
Yeah, that parrot was a born entertainer, man. Honestly, like when they cut to the parrot and he was just there, like, and then just started getting right up to the camera. Like, that was so good. I really enjoyed that. But another match won by a roll up.
Yeah,
there's a theme going on here. They're in the booking meeting. Right, match 4, doesn't matter what the number is, who cares? A match on the card. How's this one going to end? How about a roll-up, Vince? Sold. Next. Match 7. What's this going to end in? How about a roll-up, Vince? Yes, good idea. Right, next. Main event. How's this going to end? A roll-up? Yes, good idea. And then somebody finally nicks that at the end. But what I'm trying to say in my roundabout, obtuse kind of way is there were a lot of roll-ups on this show that ended matches.
Yes.
Lazy booking. Yep. This is the golden age. This is the golden age, Dan.
Supposedly.
The golden age of wrestling ended with a roll-up.
Good God.
Coco Beware.
Yeah, you know, it's literally just...
Coco Beware was underutilized, I feel. I feel like he should have gone a lot further. He probably should have been world champion at some point. I really think he was entertaining. Don't know much about the Natural Butch Reed, but he seemed like he had the look and could hold him. I don't know what he was like on the mic. I mean, it didn't really matter what they were like on the mic, because this is the era of you just get on the microphone and you just lower the tone of your voice like 10 decibels and you just kind of grunt a bit and you go and the words actually don't matter. So that was a promo from 1987. You're welcome.
I understood every word of it.
Mm-hmm. You know exactly what my sentiment was. I'm going to beat the guy, and I'm not happy that he exists. That's pretty much every promo from 1987 ever.
In a nutshell.
In a grunt shell. Next contest.
Anyway.
was the title match involving the reigning WWF Intercontinental Heavyweight Champion Randy Macho Man Savage. Randy Macho Man Savage, shut up, with Miss Elizabeth and Ricky the Dragon Steamboat, or if you prefer, Ricky the Drago Steamboat, who was accompanied by George the Animal Steel. The match itself lasted for nearly 15 minutes. At one point, Savage was about to use the ring bell as a weapon, but was stopped by Steele, who knocked him off the top rope. When Savage attempted to give Steamboat a scoop slam, Steamboat reversed it into a small package to get the win and become the new WWF Intercontinental Heavyweight Champion, marking the first time in WrestleMania history, the long-storied history of the 2 times before it, that the Intercontinental Championship had changed hands. This match, before we get into it, is considered by many to be one of the greatest matches in WWE history. Very blunt question. Is this one of the greatest matches in WWF history? WWE, WWF history?
Say no.
Controversially, I agree with you. In terms of...
Right, now let's run.
I know, a lot of people are going to be pissed off with that statement, but allow me to clarify. It was a good match. It really was a good match. It was the best match on this card. Let me get that out there. It was totally different from anything else that was on this card. It actually had pace. It had actual wrestling holds rather than just body slams. It had like entertainment from the dichotomy of heel and babyface. It had Ricky the Dragon Steamboat sliding across a table when he was only supposed to land on the table and then going straight across it and landing in the crowd. That was excellent. That was not intended in any way, shape or form, but that was excellent. And these are 2 of the best, most proficient wrestlers in the company at that time, showing off their best. The reason that I don't consider this one of the greatest matches in WWE history now, today, on the 19th of January 2021, is that this is fairly pedestrian. Not just by today's standards, but by the standards of the late 90s, all the way through the 2000s, up to today.
Yeah.
And I would argue that it's of supreme importance. This is a very important match because it kind of paved the way for a whole raft of people who were influenced and what's the word I'm looking for? Inspired by this match to become professional wrestlers and to wrestle this style as opposed to what we were seeing for the rest of this damn card. So it was massively influential. It was massively important. But that term, greatest, I can't sign my name to that, unfortunately. Like, without this match, there wouldn't have been a Chris Jericho there, or the litany of those kind of mid-sized guys that came through in the late 90s. They were all influenced by this match. They're on record doing it. Chris Jericho, Chris Benoit, Eddie Guerrero, all that kind of person that were all influenced by this match. So many of them go, this is their favourite match. Edge, Christian, the Hardys, all of anybody that was anybody in the 90s and 2000s was influenced by this match, and many of them attribute this match to the reason that they wanted to become a professional wrestler. So massively important, but in terms of it being one of the greatest in history, I couldn't even put it in the top 10.
No.
Sorry.
Yeah.
But it was the best match on this card, and it was the most entertaining match on this card, and I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Apart from the roll-up. What the hell?
Yes.
That roll-up was such an anticlimax to this match. After all of the groundwork that they had done, a roll-up? Come on, man.
Yeah.
Catch the guy out, lay your own move in and pin him, make him tap out. Anything. A roll-up? What a waste of a good match.
It's one of the reasons why it's not one of the greatest matches in our eyes, probably.
Yeah, and it wasn't technically perfect either. Like, there are a lot of times where that didn't really deliver. Like, you didn't really land that punch, and you've taken me out of that suspension of disbelief there. There were some problems with it, but I think the nostalgia goggles play a massive part when people say this is the greatest match of all time, or one of the greatest matches of all time. I think if you line it up next to some others and watch it now without going, oh, I remember where I was when I watched this. Oh yeah, Macho Man, he was great, I remember him. If you take the nostalgia out of it and you just look at it clinically as a match, as a technically greatest match of all time, I don't think it comes close, unfortunately. The match that we watched with Ricky the Dragon Steamboat and Ric Flair from Japan, that was way better than this match. And I wouldn't consider that one of the greatest matches of all time either.
No. It's definitely better, though.
Absolutely. And if you missed that, take a trip back through our archive. You can actually watch that match on the podcast. Our journey through wrestling history on, I want to say, the Retro Roster episode 3.
Something like that.
Yeah. So go enjoy. See a match
at
least as good as this.
Yeah. One thing that George the Animal Steel. All I got to say about him is, people on here have heard my dad, but they've never seen him. You've seen my dad, because I sent you a picture of him holding the belt.
Yes.
He is a spitting image of him.
He is a bit, isn't he?
Especially with the hair.
Oh, right. I did need to know that. Thanks for that.
It is just the same.
Because while I might have seen your dad, thankfully I have not seen your dad with his top off, so that knowledge eluded me.
I'll send you a picture later.
I'm okay, thank you very much. You might break the internet. We don't want to do that. But thank you for enlightening my Tuesday afternoon with the knowledge that your dad has a massively hairy back. Great. On that note, can we move on, perhaps?
Yes, let's move on. So the 10th match, you heard me right, the 10th match of the night was between the Honky Tonk Man with Colonel Jimmy Hart and Jake the Snake Roberts, who, along with his pet python Damien, had Detroit's native Alice Cooper in his corner. When Jake went for the DDT, Honky Tonk Man's manager Jimmy Hart pulled Roberts' legs, and the Honky Tonk Man rolled up Roberts from behind, held on to the ropes, and pinned him for the win. After the match, Roberts narrowly missed hitting Honky Tonk with his own guitar, smashing it against a ring post and causing Honky to run off down the aisle, leaving Hart alone in the ring. Alice Cooper got in the ring and, with Roberts holding Hart in the full Nelson, attacked him with Roberts' python Damien.
Okay. This was a match. Not a match that happened. This was a match. This was right. Honky-Tonk Man. I'm the Honky-Tonk Man, and I'm here to tell you I'm not a very good Elvis impersonator. So Alice Cooper, first of all, it mentioned that he joined them at ringside. I feel like Alice Cooper's skeleton might have joined them at ringside, but he kind of left the rest of his body somewhere else. I don't know where that was. But he had no real musculature whatsoever. He was just a skeleton with some hair and a leather jacket. Very nice leather jacket.
Very cool.
How the Honky Tonk Man managed to have the career he did, I don't know, because everything I have seen of the Honky Tonk Man has been exactly the same. It's arrives, pisses someone off, Jimmy Hart pisses them off a bit more, gets chased away, Jimmy Hart's left alone, Honky Tonk Man comes back, somehow saves him, and everybody continues to hate him, throws things at him, and he doesn't really ever win any matches, other than ones like this where, he rolls him up and roll up, Dan! Another roll up! Are you so excited? Roll up, roll up, roll up. WrestleMania 3. That should have been the tagline. WrestleMania 3. Not bigger, badder, best, or whatever it was. Roll up, roll up. That's the tagline for WrestleMania 3. Roll up, and then a little 12 next to it for every match that's got a roll up in it. Tom, freaking spell check. No, he did say that. Like, little cute girl wrote in the chat, honky thonk man, and like has now corrected it to tonk, freaking spell check. But no, that's how he talks. It was the honky thonk man. It wasn't the honky tonk man. It was the honky thonk man.
The honky thonk man.
He's the honky thonk man.
A bit dusty roads there.
He's the honky tonk man. He's cool. He's cocky. He's bad. Yes, he's bad. I agree. His entrance music says so. You know, not that he had it here. Jake the Snake Roberts in his prime with his pet Damien. And it was nice to see him as a baby face. There wasn't a whole lot of that by the time like I'd come around. I mean, he was a baby face by the time I'd started watching stuff, but people were kind of bored of him and didn't like him, so he wasn't much of a baby face by that point. Like in the period, like King of the Ring 96, where Austin beat him and then cut a promo on him. People were kind of bored of him by that point. Thunk. So it was nice to see in his prime, liked by everyone.
Yeah.
Or Jake the Snake Roberts. Yeah. That snake still creeps me out. It's him to this day. I dread to think how many people were actually like so scared of having to have that thing dumped on them in the middle of the ring. I'm not sure you get away with that kind of thing with animal cruelty anymore either.
No, I'm not. Being an animal lover that I am, and I do like snakes. Did reptiles at college, actually. And
you might want to
looking
rephrase
at that, the snake.
That sounds bad.
Okay, I studied reptiles.
That's better.
There you go. Get your mind out the gutter.
It's not where my mind was that I'm concerned about. It's where something else was from that statement.
Anyway, the snake looks kind of sedated.
Right.
Because when they were holding it, and they held him upright at one point, his head literally just went like that. And they did it like that. And it just went like this, whereas usually a snake would hold itself up and move it right free. So, yeah, if that was nowadays, that would have been animal cruelty all over it. And
yeah, I don't think I'm okay with that.
No, I wasn't.
Like, I had no semblance of an idea that it was sedated. I didn't like it being there at all. But now that you've suggested it might have been sedated as well, I'm like, oh, yeah, this is even more not okay than it was before.
Yeah. A snake like that should have been moving around a lot more.
Yeah. And I mean, it was in a bag for ages.
They don't really like the noise. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
thank God they don't do that anymore.
Thank God.
But other than that, and other than the other reptile in the ring, Alice Cooper, it wasn't too bad.
It was alright.
Alice Cooper should stick to music and not come to try and pick a fight with people in a wrestling ring. Doesn't really work.
Yes.
He's about as intimidating as a potted plant. Now then, in a little break from the matches, ring announcer Howard Finkel then introduced Mean Gene Okerlund. He should stop doing both, says Wolfie. Yeah, okay, that's debatable too. Okerlund then announced the indoor attendance record for the event of 93,173. WrestleMania 3 held the record for the biggest WWE event for many, many years, until the record was broken and there's some controversy, arguably, by WrestleMania 32 from AT&T Stadium in Dallas, Texas, with an unannounced but more realistic attendance of 93,730. WWE themselves claimed that they had 101,000 people, but they were also counting like ticket sellers and hot dog vendors and just literally people in the building, which is not how attendance works. Despite the huge success of WrestleMania III, wrestling never returned to the Pontiac Silverdome, and eventually the venue fell into disrepair, especially after the Detroit Lions left it as well, and it was eventually demolished in 2017. And I actually have, as a little treat, the video of said demolition for us to watch.
Oh, go on then.
So I'm just going to turn the chat off because that's where it's going to go. And yeah, I mean, it's not very long. It doesn't last very long. But here's a bit of smashy of a historic venue being wiped off the face of the earth.
Smashy, blowy uppy.
Well, that's good. Where's my video?
That's brilliant. That's a great video you got there, Jeremy. There we go. Stupid thing. There you go. Goodbye.
That's about it, really. Now it's pretty much just dust settling and all that kind of stuff. But I think it's a real shame that this venue didn't get more love from professional wrestling. Because like you go there and you set an attendance record, and that clearly proves that the interest is there to be able to fill the venue.
Yeah.
I probably wouldn't park my car there that day, so I'd always be chatting. Yeah, like, there were so many cars around it. And actually, just before it was demolished, it pretty much became a Volkswagen parking lot. After they made new Volkswagens in Detroit, they would come and put them all there. So all of those cars were brand new Volkswagens, apparently, in 2017 when they
are now flattened.
That was the second attempt at demolition, because the first one, the day before, they set all the fuses and something went wrong. So it like there were explosions, but it mainly just made a noise. It didn't actually do anything to the building. But
building's last stand.
Like the demolition of that building almost makes me as sad as the fact that the Houston Astrodome, I don't know if they've demolished it yet, but they were going to demolish it. But it sat there for years just falling into disrepair. And it's like, I don't understand quite why historic venues like stadiums don't get the same kind of love that other buildings do. I feel like I would much rather go and see an event in a 80-year-old venue that had been upkept over years than go and see something in a venue that's brand new and looks so clinical. I don't know, not clinical, it's the wrong word, but you know what I'm saying. I'd much rather have a bit of history around me as I'm enjoying myself.
No, I can see where you're coming from, and I kind of agree.
Because, you know, obviously I've been to Wembley Stadium a few times to watch the American football, and I don't give a damn about soccer or any of the World Cup victories or anything, you know, the World Cup victory or any of the FA Cup victories that happen there or any of that. But the fact that I'm sat there in Wembley Stadium, even though it's a new Wembley Stadium, but it has, they brought together many of the things that were in the original Wembley Stadium. They've maintained parts of it, all that kind of stuff. I feel better sitting there knowing that this is an historic venue than if I was somewhere new. As much as I love the new Tottenham Stadium where I go and watch games now, but you know, there's something special about history that adds to an event. And they tried to recreate that kind of nostalgia for WrestleMania 3 when they did the WrestleMania at Ford Field, which is the new massive venue in Detroit. But it didn't really work because it was a completely different feel.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Oh well.
Pontiac Silverdome, rest in peace. You served us well for this one event. You probably deserve better than this event, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
Shall we crack on with the last 10 matches on this card and get to the end of it?
Yes. So, the Iron Sheik and Nikolai Volkov with Slick were in action next against the Killer Bees. Slick asked all of the fans to rise to respect Nikolai Volkov's singing of the Soviet national anthem, and when Volkov began singing, Hacksaw Jim Duggan came to the ring with his 2x4, which had a tiny American flag attached to it, got on the microphone and said that Volkov was not going to sing because America is a land of the free and the home of the brave. While the match ensued, Duggan stayed at ringside. The Iron Sheik locks a camel clutch on Brunzel. Duggan, who was chasing Volkov around the ring and finally into it, stopped and hit an unsuspecting Sheik across the back with the 2x4 in front of the referee, resulting in the Iron Sheik and Nikolai Volkov winning the bout by disqualification.
Yeah, this is the land of the free. So you're not free to sing. You're not allowed to sing a song from another country because free.
Because
stop doing your freedom. This is a free country. Stop it. Didn't make much sense to me. But that's what he said. You can't sing that. This is the land of the free. Sorry, what? Confusing. Very confusing. Yeah, I mean, this isn't the first time that we had kind of nationalist nonsense in professional wrestling. It's like, oh, they're not from here. Let's boo them. And it's definitely not the last. It still happens today. We still haven't quite got over that. Oh, look, they're from another country. We don't like them. Boo. So, that aside, the Killer Bees. That was a thing. My mother-in-law really dug the Killer Bees. Like, as I was sat there watching this event this morning, she was like, they look like bees. I'm like, this is not a thing to be celebrated. Like, stop enjoying that they're dressed like bees. What are you doing? So, yeah. Bees. Bees.
Bees.
Bees.
Bees.
Bees.
Bees.
The American flag that was attached to Hacksaw's 2x4. It's a bit inadequate, wasn't it? Was it quite as freedomy as he might have wanted? I don't know.
Maybe come with like a full blown flag. I mean,
just one at least as big as his head, his giant head, would have probably been fine. But it's like, here you go, here's a 2x4. Oh, that's really big. So it's like 2 inches by 4 inches, and it's about 4 foot long. Okay, good, right. And you want me to put a flag on this? Yes, so we do. Okay, great. So I'll put a pin on one end and a pin on the other, and then I'll just wave it about like that. Oh, no, so here's your flag. And they hand him a postage stamp. I'll make it work. I'll make contradictory statements. It's fine. They won't even notice my flag.
Yeah.
We were doing... I'm not going to say so well. We were getting better, and then we got to this match.
And then it plummeted.
This was the pre-main event.
And
on that note, let's
go on to the main event.
Let's jettison it into history and go on to the main event, which was billed as the biggest main event in sports entertainment. Which, I get it. Andre's big, Hogan's big, biggest. I get it. I see what you're doing there. That's wordplay. This final match had the WWF World Heavyweight Champion Hulk Hogan defending the title against Andre the Giant with Bobby Heenan. Howard Finkel introduced the guest ring announcer Bob Uecker, who in turn introduced guest timekeeper Entertainment Tonight host Mary Hart. Say that 3 times fast. The fans booed Andre heavily and pelted him and his manager Bobby Heenan with trash as they rode the cart to the ring. In contrast, Hogan, who walked to the ring... Hogan don't need no cart, man. He walked to the ring. Came out to a huge ovation. Approximately 2 minutes into the match, Hogan attempted to body slam Andre, but he was unable to lift the Giant and nearly lost the match when Andre fell on him and almost pinned him. After the match had battled back and forth, Andre gave Hogan an Irish whip to the far side of the ring and attempted a big boot on Hogan. But Hogan ducked it and came off the ropes to give Andre a clothesline to take him off his feet for the first time in the match. Hogan then hulked up and scoop slammed the 525-pound Giant before hitting the ropes and executing his patented leg drop pin to get the win and retain his championship.
Yeah.
I actually enjoyed this match, and I wasn't expecting to.
Yeah.
I wasn't expecting to coming into the event. I was expecting less to having watched the previous matches in the event. I was like, right, let's just get through what is going to be a terrible main event on a slightly terrible show. Let's just get it done. But I was pleasantly surprised.
Yeah, it was alright. It was alright especially compared to the rest of it.
Yeah, compared to the rest of it, for sure. I think there is a fair amount of nostalgia goggles when people remember this match. Because again, this is one that is viewed as one of the greatest of all time. And I guess it's just on the basis of the body slam.
Yeah.
In the context of then, nobody picked up Andre the Giant. Hulk Hogan's the biggest thing in the world, wrestling-wise, and gets in there and over he goes. That's a huge deal. But again, you fast forward a few years, and no matter who the big guy is, they just get dumped on their head over and over again. And it's not as big a deal now. So, a product of its time, entertainment of its time.
Yep.
Doesn't really do a whole lot for me in 2021.
No, not a lot for me either.
To be honest. And it's a shame.
Annoyed me with is WWE doing the whole lying sort of thing again. WWE lying, how dare I? But it's when they say how big Andre is and how big Hogan is. And it's when they were stood face to face at the beginning, they go, Andre the Giant is like 7'5", and Hogan is 6'8". No, because there's like that much in it.
So it's like that much difference, wasn't there? Yeah.
There's that much difference. That is not. Hogan's not 6'8", and Andre's 7'5", and there's like that much difference.
No. There is a lot bigger difference between those two numbers than was played out on the screen. And the poster is pretty much that, and there's a bigger difference. So they've kind of fudged that on the poster to promote the event. But yeah, I'm with you there. I don't know how tall Andre actually was, but I feel like it was closer to 7'2" than 7'5". Yeah. I mean, a quick Google search.
Google it.
Probably actually give us the answer we want. But yeah, that wasn't the last time that they did that. No.
No.
Yeah, I mean, consider Crash Holly. That guy was 400 pounds.
Yeah.
Dan's not paying attention. He's looking for the answer. He's trying to find the answer. Ah, there you go. Wolfie's joining in with the WWE-ism. He says, "I'm a real British."
7'3" he was.
Okay. I mean, 2 inches, I'm told, is a big deal. Like, it's a big difference. So they really shouldn't lie about that, I guess.
2 inches makes all the difference.
A few inches does make all the difference in telling the story between a 6'8" man and a not 7'5" man.
Yes.
Yeah, it would have made him probably the tallest person in the world at being 7'5". I don't think anybody was that big even then.
No, I don't think there was.
Yeah. So,
anyway.
Yeah. Anything to add about this main event?
Not really.
I suppose I should mention how great Bobby Heenan is.
Yeah, he's good.
Bobby Heenan was then, and even if you look at him in a modern context, was one of the greatest managers of all time. He managed so many different people. We saw him like 3 or 4 times across the event managing different people. And he had a different kind of tack promo for each of them. You weren't just going, "Oh yeah, this is my guy, he's great." He had individualized things to say about each of his clients and each of the opponents, so that was cool. Yeah, he was entertaining from beginning to end, really. Yeah. Hulk Hogan having more hair than I remember, slightly. There's that.
Yeah, there is that.
And with that, the 12th match on the card, it brings us to rate the event as a whole. Now, there's... I kind of want to give this 2 ratings, because...
Yeah, so do I.
Okay, so let's do it twice. Only the second of these is really going to count in terms of our overall thing, but the first thing I would like you to rate it is put yourself in the context of the time. Like, put yourself in 1987, watching this event for the first time without anything that's happened in what is wrestling history for us since. So, of the time, out of 5 ring carts that bring people to the ring, what would you give this event in 1987?
5 ring carts, of the time, I would give it 3.5.
Yeah, I think I would give it 4 at the time.
Yeah.
Even then, I don't think I would have forgiven like the first half of this card and the amount of roll-ups there were. That would have annoyed me even then. But you know, the Steamboat Savage match in 1987 was just something completely new and completely different, so that majorly bumps it up the score. The fact that they had like 93,000 people and it was just a huge event, that bumps up the score. And the main event, the build-up of, is he going to be able to slam Andre the Giant? And he does. That bumps it up as well. So for me, in 1987, I'm giving this 4 ring carts out of 5. But we're not in 1987. We are looking back at events and how they compare to everything else in wrestling history and to modern day wrestling. So now in 2021, under any criteria that you like, in the same way that we always do, what do you score this out of 5 ring carts today?
1.
Yeah, I'm about there with you. I think 1 might be a bit too harsh, but I'm giving it 2, and the 2 is because of the Steamboat Savage match. Like, for giving me something to to hold on to and enjoy, and for the the history of the Silverdome and the fact it was a huge event. Pretty much the same reasons that I gave it so much in my 1987 rating. Those are the reasons that bump it up to 2 rather than 1. But so many of these matches were terrible. Most of them ended in a roll-up. There was so much empty space on the floor at the Silverdome. They could have fit more people in. They probably could have got over 95,000 if they really tried.
Absolutely.
So, yeah. Sorry, people who really love this event. 2 out of 5.
Those guys.
Sorry,
guys.
Please like and subscribe.
Yeah, that's not going to happen much.
No, Little Cute Girl says 4.5 then, I really liked it, but now 1. Yeah, I mean, nostalgia goggles are real, okay? Nobody is saying that, your opinion of the event from your memories of watching it in childhood or back in the day are invalid. Not at all. I can completely understand why people really enjoyed this, and in an 80s context there's loads to like, but as time has moved on and society has moved on, I can't sign my name to enjoying a show that had a freaking small person wrestler called, what was he again? Little Beaver. I'm not giving an event with a guy called Little Beaver anything more than a 2. I'm sorry, it's not going to happen. And feel free to hold me to that standard. If ever there is a Little Beaver on an event again, I cannot give it more than 2. I'm totally down with that expectation. But no, sorry. The majority of this event was frickin' terrible. Don't forget the Haiti Kid, says Wolfington.
Oh, God. Trying to forget him.
Tamsin, who's been lurking this time, was like, damn. Yeah, that was a thing. Little Beaver.
Yep.
It's about representation. Is it? I thought representation had to be positive. I'm not really sure what your point is there. Might even be a joke. I don't know. The statement confuses me.
Anyway.
So, bringing us happily back to 2021, if that's a thing that we can say, we move on to next week, where the main roster will return, and it will be Royal Rumble prediction week.
Yeah.
We're not too far away from the Royal Rumble now. We'll be predicting the main matches on the card, as well as somewhat trying to predict who is going to win each Rumble match, or the key events of each Rumble match. And we'll be predicting. And in addition to predicting, I will be crowning myself as the prediction champion with the main roster championship belt, which is here and is in my possession. It's actually there. You can see the bottom strap of it. You can't see the belt, but you can see the bottom strap of it. You might even, I can't remember, I've cut bits of it actually. You might not even, you can't even see that on the stream. So, championship belt unveiled next week. It is mine. Show us the belt.
Yeah.
No. Tune in next week. No. Tune in next week for the Royal Rumble predictions. You got to wait with bated breath. But it's beautiful. Jez, don't tease me. I am teasing you. It's beautiful. I love it so much. I get to hold it for at least a year, which is nice. Dan is going to be like fighting tooth and nail to win the prediction competition this year so that he can get it back, because you had your hands on it as well. It was delivered to you first and you had to forward it on to me.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Oh, dear.
Get your best prediction head on as we move into next week.
Will.
Kamen Rider Wizard has just unfollowed. He's not coming back again. He's like, well, if I can't see the belt, forget it. I'm out of here. Forget you. Can't do it. Stick around for the rest of this week on the Primetime Streamer Network. It's a big day today, actually. Currently, as we are streaming now, Captain Soro is in the midst of his 12-hour stream. And then later tonight at 6:30 p.m, American Truck Simulator from Reeves. Tuesday night Killstream, The Witcher 3 from Always Be Chatting, and Spellbreak from Little Cute Girl 86 at midnight GMT. Many more things happening across the week. Take a look on your screens if you're quick, or tune into the other shows for more details about what is happening. Dan's happily dancing to the music because he's hearing it for the first time. New setup on Discord is a success. Woo!
Yay!
I predict that Kamen Rider Wizard 0014 will stick around, says Tamsanaki. Stop predicting things, you're not having my belt. Thanks for joining us. I've been Jazz.
I've been Dan.
And we have just reviewed one of the worst wrestling events in history on the Retro roster. Bye!
Bye.